Hey guys, Sundown here. This is giving me my chapter review to My Hero Academia of Boku no Hero Academia 285 Katsuki Bakugo Rising. Now, what can I say about this chapter besides, holy crap, this review won't be that long because there's only really two main themes to address here, but let's get into it because there's a bit of explaining, a bit of kind of diving into the themes that I'd like to do. And this was just a badass chapter. It was a really solid chapter that I'm really glad Horikoshi had the balls to put out there, and the fact that he wrote it in such a way that it turned out this way. I'm really happy with that. So the first theme is Deku's selflessness, but in a bad way. The chapter starts off with a flashback talking about if Deku damaged his arms extensively again, he may permanently lose function in them. Fast forward to this chapter where Deku is absolutely pummeling the living shit out of Shigaraki, so much so that Shigi is actually panicked and realizing he can't regenerate faster than the rate he's taking damage. He steels himself and decides to just defend as long as he can. But you really see how Deku has gone almost mad with the responsibility he's thrown upon himself. This is something which will need to be addressed by his mentors, whether it be All Might, whether it be Endeavor, Aizawa, maybe all three at the same damn time. I understand Deku doesn't really have too much of a choice right now, and he realizes that involving Bakugo in such a high level fight could very quickly result in his untimely death, especially as it is an entirely mid-air fight. But Deku has no reliance on others, and he looks like he's going batshit crazy with the responsibility he's thrust upon himself and the pain he's going through at the moment. So Deku in general, he just seems to be in a really bad way in the sense of he thinks it's almost like I'm not even sure what you'd call it, but I'm going to call it the chosen one symptom, where he feels like everything's on him. He's the one that has to end this. He's the one that has to take this fight. He's the one that has to save everyone. He's the one that has to think up of all these solutions and stuff like that. Whereas that's the wrong way to go about it, and I think Deku's gonna have to learn the hard way that it's not all about him. It's all about learning to deal with the people around him, with the tools that he has around him that he's not using so well right now, which is actually juxtaposed really well by Bakugo in this chapter. But while this is going on, Shigi thinks about what other quirk he can use to take out Deku. I thought that was pretty funny. He's just there getting clapped and he's just like, what other quirk can I use to put this kid out? He's kicking my ass. And then we come to the main focus of the chapter, Bakugo. Everyone observes the fight and Bakugo tells them straight up. They're all like, oh yeah, this is going well. But Bakugo's just there looking up and he's just like, while this all looks like Deku's kicking ass, he's fighting a losing battle. He realizes how much strain Deku's under, considering his use of multiple quirks at this point in time for a lengthy amount of time, as well as the fact that his arms are completely wrecked. Like, his arms are floppy at this point. Rather than sit down and mope about it, we see Bakugo do something I thought was very Deku-esque. He comes up with a plan using the most capable people available to him in that moment, including himself. You even see Rocklock looking at Endeavor and Shoto and Bakugo, and he's just saying that they're kids. Why are we trusting them with such a huge decision? Why are we letting them take command? They're too young to lead in basically what is a warlike situation. But Rocklock quickly catches his tongue, remembering that Shoto and Bakugo are the same as Deku. They're cut from the same cloth, the same quality type of people. If he has faith in Deku, he has to have faith in the rest of them. So Bakugo's plan, it's very simple. Propel himself, Shoto and Endeavor as close to the fight as possible, while Shoto focuses on cooling down Endeavor. Once within range, he's going to throw Endeavor towards Shigaraki, allowing him to use his prominence burn on Shigaraki, thus possibly ending the fight. Now on the flight up, we see Shoto's concern for Deku, but we get to dive right into Bakugo's pretty much straight anxiety at this point around Deku's current situation. He thinks back to All Might and their conversations about One for All. He thinks back to his days fanboying over heroes with Deku. He thinks back to his days of bullying Deku. All of these things, along with his inner monologue, shows that Bakugo views One for All as a cursed ability, something which, from his perspective, it spawned from All for One, from the greatest villain of all time, and due to the kind of the connection with All for One, him wanting the quirk back, or wanting to at least end its line, he sees it as this cursed quirk, this one that will attract danger to it no matter where it goes. But Bakugo also sees the other side of One for All, which is how All Might saved so many people with it, how it gave the powerless but courageous Deku the power to live his dream of becoming a hero, and how his bullying of Deku was just a brutal display of his own power while hiding his insecurities. So you see all of these emotions in Bakugo's eyes, which aren't crazy anymore. They're crystal clear, and he knows exactly what he's doing. His goal is to save Deku from Shigaraki and from himself, basically, no matter what the cost is. So Bakugo throws Endeavor towards Shigaraki, who gets held in a full Nelson. And I gotta give it to Endeavor here. Like this was awesome. Like, you have to remember, Endeavor is battered, he's bruised, he's exhausted, he's done a whole bunch of fighting, he's cooling down from overheating with Shoto's help, of course, and yet he still goes out there for a full powered prominence burn. This is something that's probably burning him at this point. What a legend, and worthy of his title, I think, at least, of being #1 hero. However, All for One is a strange quirk that just keeps getting stranger and stranger. And while Shigaraki gets burned to an absolute crisp, and he does get burned to an absolute crisp, we see into his mind where the hand of All for One, the being and not the quirk, kind of beckons Shigaraki, telling him to give him control of his body. Shigaraki then goes into this full berserk mode, giving over control to All for One, with pretty much no skin left on his body. Either his body is charred black, or we're seeing some of the work that Dr. Ujiko did to Shigaraki's body, leaving behind this black kind of mechanical frame. I'm not sure what it is. It's either kind of like an inside frame kind of thing, like a Terminator kind of thing, or it's actually Shigaraki's body, which has just been burnt to a crisp. But it doesn't look right. It looks mechanical. It looks like it should be. It doesn't look like bones and tissue and stuff like that. It looks like something else. In this mode, Shigaraki unleashes his own version of Black Whip, but with like really pointed, jagged ends, stabbing this straight through Endeavor. I think he punctures Endeavor 3 times, causing him to fall and ending the prominence burn. Shigaraki then aims towards Deku, and this was the best part of the chapter, hands down. Bakugou's whole arc has been that he possessed all the raw talent, the work ethic, and the drive to be a hero. His personality needed a lot of work, but for the most part, he had everything. The only thing he didn't have, the spontaneous will to save someone without even thinking about it. Moving before he gets to question himself, saving someone from harm because he knows nothing else. He is a hero through and through, you know? So having that kind of innate will, that innate desire to want to help people. And for a long time, Bakugou has been missing that. And that's what we get in this chapter. That's what we see from Bokugou here at the end of the chapter, pushing Deku out of the way and being pierced in 3, maybe 4 separate locations by Shigi's All for One taken over body. All of this while he thinks back on his timeline with Deku, the bullying, finding out about One for All, blaming himself for All Might's retirement. He only had the one, drowning in that mud villain that in the first episode, the first chapter. This was very beautifully done, and Horikoshi is an absolute master at making this feel real, making this feel like the main characters could actually die and that they're up shit creek, which they are. But with this, Deku has been saved, but at what cost? So I'm there thinking, holy shit, Bakugou's been pierced by this All for One controlled Shigi. Is he going to lose his quirk through these kind of black whips, essentially? Is he going to get pulled into Shigaraki, who's then going to juice him of his quirk? I don't think Bakugou's going to die, but it'll take him a while to recover from his wounds at least. But there's still the entire possibility of losing his quirks, which would be a huge blow to the heroes and a huge blow to Bakugou and Deku. Endeavor's out of the fight too, so what's going to happen with him? Is he just going to fall to the ground? And if he falls from this height, he's pretty much game over for him. He's dead if he falls from this height. Deku, he might go apeshit, having just seen what is essentially kind of like his best friend getting absolutely decimated by Shigaraki. But this small lull in the fight might actually cause all the pain to catch up to him, rendering him useless. Deku should just kind of flop, I think, at this point. If he goes any further, if Deku pushes himself anything beyond what we've seen so far, he will not be able to use those arms ever again until Eri learns how to use her quirk, or learns how to control it at the very least. Shoto's the only fighter left and the only disciple of Endeavor's we've not seen kick some ass just yet, so hoping we get to see him try to save his boys from Shigi. Also, Gigantomachia and company haven't rolled up in the slightest yet. If they do, the heroes are screwed. Who's going to turn up to save any of these heroes? Aizawa's out, Rocklock and the water guy are taking care of him, Gran Torino's out, Bakugou has now been pierced, Deku's arms are missing, Shoto's the only one there, Endeavor's out. It's going to be up shit creek without a paddle if Gigantomachia and the League of Villains turn up. The last thing, will Shigaraki himself go on a rampage while All for One seemingly has control of his body? His goal is One for All, so will he attack kind of Deku relentlessly? That would make sense to me, but it also would make sense to me that Shigaraki really needs some time to go away and heal up. His body's absolutely torn to shit, and even though he can regenerate, his body seems to be kind of showing the repercussions of only hitting 75% completion. So I think he does need to go away and rest. But that's the end of the chapter. A beautiful chapter by Horikoshi. Like I said, it instilled me with an idea of the characters actually facing danger for once, and I really like the fact that I feel like they're in danger, and Horikoshi's done a masterful job. So let me know what you guys thought of this chapter. Let me know what you guys thought of this review. Like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. And I'll see you guys in a bit.